What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Effective Translational Lift, where we look at aviation videos. So today we're going to go over the black box decoded from the helicopter that hit the plane in DC, or the plane that hit the helicopter. This is a very touchy subject, and I'm by no means trying to say that I know better, or that I am more experienced, or that I could have done anything different, or whatever. I don't mean any of that. I don't want to backseat drive. That's something that I do not want to get involved with. I just want to review this with you and just give you my 2 cents on it, and maybe I can give you a different perspective on it or something. So we'll get into it, but just have in mind that I'm a junior Blackhawk pilot, so I'm not a PC. I'm in RL progression. I have 180 hours of actual aircraft time, and then I have 260 total aircraft time, and that is including simulator training. So here we go.
The NTSB has finally released the contents of the Blackhawk's flight recorders, and it paints a very interesting picture. Not to step on the lead, but the Blackhawk didn't hear all the tower's radio transmissions. First, the NTSB confirmed that this was a check ride. They were doing a combination of an annual and night vision goggle qualification flight. The NTSB believes that due to the nature of this flight, they were using night vision goggles. If the pilots took the night vision goggles off, they're required to have a discussion amongst themselves that they're going to go unaided.
Correct. So whenever you have, and we practice this in the aircraft, I did a lot in flight school. I do it every once in a while now in the fleet because everybody's kind of up to speed on it and knows what to do. But if you do have an ambus failure, you have to announce it inside the aircraft. You transfer the controls and you try to fix the failure. So some things could happen. Maybe your battery dies, or maybe you have a faulty wire or something. I don't know. But if you're flying along, you're looking through your night vision, and then all of a sudden it just, boop, you can't see anything. I would say ambus failure, you have the flight controls, other guy picks the flight controls up, I mess with my night vision goggles. If I can regain the night vision goggle thing, now we both know I'm like in a degraded sense of where it could happen again. Or you flip them up and you say, hey man, I can't fix it, I'm night unaided. And then he's like, dope, I got you, you're night unaided. So now he knows what my capability is. When you're inside the cockpit, a lot of stuff, you're not like turning necessarily to look at the other person a lot of times. You just communicate because you have your instruments, you have the outside, you're trying not to hit stuff. So just something to keep in mind.
This discussion never happened on the cockpit voice recorder, leading the NTSB to believe that they had night vision goggles on during the accident. When wearing night vision goggles, a pilot's peripheral vision reduces from 180 degrees down to 40. That makes it very difficult to see anything you're not looking directly at. In this part of the flight, the helicopter is following Route 1 and Route 4 of the helicopter routes. The NTSB notes that while these are depicted on the charts, there's no defined boundaries. However, pilots are expected to stay under the maximum height limits. At the location of the collision, the helicopter should have been at 200.
Yep, 200 feet. So there you go. VFR sectional chart, line number below means you stay below this altitude.
Feet or below. But as we'll see later, there may have been other factors at play. The first interesting anomaly that happened on the Blackhawk's cockpit voice recorder happened at 8:43 and 48 seconds. That's approximately 4 minutes before the crash. The pilot flying said they were at 300 feet, but their instructor said they were at 400. This could indicate that their altimeters were not set correctly or weren't synchronized between the left and right seat.
The reason why I'm saying it could is because you can be 75 feet off from right side to left side and still be legal. So whenever you dial up your ATIS or you get your weather and your pressure, when you first start up the helicopter, you'll get an initial pressure reading for the area. And 2992 is standard, so 2992 right side, 2992 left side, I have 1,000 feet. Other guy says I have 1,500 or 1,050 feet. Which meaning you're 50 feet off before you even come off the ground. Those instruments are, they can differ. They have like a differ zone where they can be different up to 75 feet. So just keep that in mind. And then also, whenever you're flying along and you get ATIS, another thing that I do is I verbally announce it. So I say, whenever I change my barometric altitude, I say 2908, right, set right. And then that subliminally tells the other guy, okay, he changed his pressure, I'm going to change my pressure. Then he'll repeat it back saying 2908 set left. And then now I know that I have 2908 set right, he's set left. Now we're both the same and we can continue.
Pilots primarily fly by using their barometric altitude. This works by measuring the air pressure around the aircraft to determine the plane's altitude. But in the real world, the barometric pressure can change, so pilots use an adjustment on their altimeter to correct for that. But if the pilot and the instructor had adjusted their altimeters incorrectly, they might have believed that they were at different altitudes than they were, or might have had a different view between the left and the right seat. The NTSB noted that there was never a discussion of these altitude discrepancies. They also noted that they weren't releasing granular altitude data at this time, as they found other discrepancies in the recordings. However, they did note that the Blackhawk's radio altimeter did provide an accurate source of data. Another thing the NTSB couldn't do was cross-reference that data with GPS information, as the GPS information was not recorded on the flight data recorder. About 2 minutes later, the instructor noted that they were flying at about 300 feet. The pilot flying acknowledged, saying they would descend down to 200. The next interesting fact that comes from the Blackhawk's cockpit voice recorder happens at 8:46:01, or just under 2 minutes before the accident. At that moment, air traffic control calls out that the traffic is a CRJ circling to runway 33.
Traffic just off the workspace CRJ at 1,000 feet, start runway 3.
But the Blackhawk's cockpit voice recorder does not hear the term circling. That means that even though the Blackhawk knew there was a CRJ, they did not know its location. But the most damning evidence from the Blackhawk's cockpit voice recorder happens 7 seconds before the accident, at 8:47 and 42 seconds. At that time, the air traffic controller called the Blackhawk, asking them to pass behind the CRJ.
Pass behind the CRJ.
But the Blackhawk pilots keyed their mic before the transmission was done, blanking out the portion that said pass behind. Once again, they missed that crucial location information. Aircraft, including the CRJ and Blackhawk in this accident, use VHF transmissions to communicate between other aircraft and the ground. These radios use amplitude modulation. That's the same modulation used in AM radios in your car. This has the benefit of working over very long distances.
I'm just thinking about that pass behind. Yeah, that's nuts. I would almost expect, and again, I'm a lower hour guy, but I would almost expect them to say Blackhawk 26610 turn heading whatever and make you do it. But I don't know,
But at the expense of clarity and readability. This also has the downside that only one person can be transmitting on the same frequency at any given time. Modern digital radios, like those found in many police forces, offer a very similar range but with dramatically increased clarity. Many also allow multiple stations to be transmitting at the same time.
I'll take it back. They probably wouldn't, now that I think about it. They usually ask, pass. So normally, and I fly around the Atlanta area, so normally what they do is they'll say, do you have traffic in sight? And you'll either say yes or no. And if you say no, then they usually will tell you, okay, turn this way. We're going to vector you around to keep you safe. And if you say yes, then they're like, cool, you can see them, whatever.
Time. But we don't use those in aviation for fear of breaking backwards compatibility. The instructor then replied to the air traffic control saying that the traffic was in sight and requested visual separation.
There you go.
Off of the radio, the instructor relayed to the pilot flying that they believed ATC was asking them to move left towards the banks of the river. At the time of the accident, the Blackhawk's radio altimeter read 278 feet. However, as we noted earlier, this might not have been what the pilots saw on the altimeter in front of them. At the impact, the Blackhawk was flying nearly completely level, with only 0.5 degrees nose-up pitch and a left roll of 1.6 degrees. From the data recovered, the NTSB notes that there was no electronic warnings in the Blackhawk of the CRJ that was approaching. They also noted that the Blackhawk was not transmitting ADSB information, and they were investigating for the cause. But the story is a little bit different from the CRJ cockpit. At 8:47:40, around 20 seconds before the accident, they did get a TCAS warning calling out traffic. This means that the CRJ was made aware of the traffic but wasn't given any traffic avoidance instructions because they were under 500 feet at the time. These traffic avoidance instructions are inhibited below a certain altitude to prevent the system from telling a plane to descend into the ground. 2 seconds before the accident, the CRJ's radio altimeter reported that it was at 313 feet above ground. The CRJ was descending at 448 feet per minute, or about 7.5 feet per second. But this does still leave about a 25-foot discrepancy between the two radio altimeters. Most terrifying in the CRJ data is that the pilots commanded strong control inputs, indicating they saw the accident coming. At the time of the accident, the CRJ was at a 9-degree nose-up attitude and rolled 11 degrees to the left. The elevator on the CRJ was almost at its maximum nose-up position. The pilots did everything they could to avoid it.
Yeah, that's super sad, man. That's super sad. What my question, I guess, is going back to this depiction right here is, say that they were 100 feet lower, right? Is that still legal? My question would be to the controllers is that okay? Because I would think that it probably is not, but 100. I mean, think about that. You're gonna pass under a jet plane by 100 feet. That seems a little not cool to me.
Almost at its maximum nose-up position. The pilots did everything they could to avoid it. The NTSB noted that they're going to be performing simulations like the ones I do on this channel to see what the Blackhawk pilots may or may not have seen. They did note that the Blackhawk was equipped with an ADS-B transmitter, but they don't know if it was turned off or if it was otherwise broken.
How would you not know that? I feel as my other question is, I don't know. I don't know what kind of recording devices they have in the towers and stuff, but if it's on, it would have. I don't know. It was just super unfortunate, man. Like that sucks. And if you're watching this, like, and you do pray, say a prayer for the families. You know, those are people on that plane in that helicopter that will never be at like Christmas, at Thanksgiving. They'll never be able to go to like birthday parties like this. They're just kind of done. So it is very sad. And I kind of hesitate to even put this out, honestly, because I'm by no means a subject matter expert. I am just a junior Blackhawk pilot. So again, I mean no disrespect by this video or anything. This is just me watching this and trying to figure it out. This is this guy's channel, Brian Murray, that made the video, or that posted the video. And it seems like, oh, this is another channel. I guess I accidentally clicked that. Let's game it out. He's actually a pretty good guy. I like his videos. But Brian Murray, he does a lot of other aviation. He's a pilot, creator, software engineer. Let's see what he's got going on. Okay, that's it. But yeah, that was a super like well illustrated video. I feel like it was pretty cool, just to see the different angles and like the rendering of the Blackhawk stuff. I don't mean to be ranty, but yeah, it's sad, man. It's sad that this could happen. I mean, this is a part of aviation, is that mitigation, risk mitigation, planning. I've had a couple people ask me about this, and it just seems like whenever accidents happen, it's not just one thing. It's usually an accumulation of a lot of things going wrong at the same time. Yeah, man. I'll stick this out there. I don't know how long this video is going to stay up, honestly. We'll see. I don't know. I could get a lot of hate for this, potentially. I don't know. If you liked it, if you thought it was useful, tell me in the comments if you think I should keep it up or not. Yeah, one more time, like, shout out to all the families and everybody affected by this crash. It's a terrible thing to see, and especially them knowing that they were gone before they were. Like, that's terrifying, really, when you think about it. So, all right, have a good rest of your day. I don't mean to bring you down. Hopefully, this could be more of an educational thing than a like Debbie Downer thing. But have a good one, man. Thanks for watching the channel.